Good morning. I'm Bob Sanborn, President and CEO of Children at Risk, and we have assembled a good panel today to talk about the funding, the child care funding cliff that's about to happen here in Harris County. And we want to talk about this and its impact on children. We've assembled a really nice group of people. In order of appearance, Amy Corron is with us. She's President and CEO of the Wesley House, Houston. We're excited to have her here. Doris Menchaca is here. She's the director of Houston Kidz Academy. Nice to see you, Doris. Mieko Carter, who's a Texas state representative with NAFCC, but also the founder of Divine Footprints Family Childcare here in Houston. We're excited to have you here, Mieko. And then rounding us up today, Santrice Jones-Hare, who's the Chief Impact Officer and Director of the Greater Houston Strong Start Alliance at Children at Risk. Santrice, thank you very much for being here. This is a super important issue for us. And part of it is that when we look across the greater Houston area, what we see is that there are roughly about 90,000 children in our area that are waiting for subsidized childcare. And as we wait, as those kids and their families wait for subsidized childcare, what we see is funding and the state's and federal involvement in this moving in the opposite direction of where we need to go. Texas is cutting childcare scholarship capacity. Federal relief funded childcare in Harris County is expiring. Head Start is facing additional uncertainty. And so this really isn't a theoretical funding cliff. For Houston families, it means childcare opportunities are leaving just when we need them the most. So when we talk about these families, we're talking about impact on our current workforce, because these are families that want to work. And when we talk about these children, we're talking about our future workforce. And in both cases, we're talking about the economy of Texas now and into the future. For our economy to be robust, we need those workers. They can't work if they can't find quality childcare. For our economy to be robust, those kids need to be well prepared for the future. And they're not going to be well prepared if they don't have access to high quality early education today. For years, our Houston area leaders and communities have invested in expanding access, improving quality, and strengthening the childcare infrastructure that families today really rely on. But when we look around the state, we see communities are doing some very interesting things around early education. Some very collaborative work in the area. San Antonio, Fort Worth, the Rio Grande Valley, all have made giant strides in these areas. Houston could absolutely be more collaborative. Indeed, through our Early Learning Quality Network, the county commissioners came together to use ARPA funds to serve 2,000 providers, 13,000 children, and seriously address some of the key concerns of the child care deserts that we have here in Houston. But it's going to take work from all of us, from nonprofits, local government, philanthropy, and the corporate world to make things better. But make no mistake, the bulk of this help has to come from our state government and from Washington, D.C. That's where the funding will make an absolute difference in the lives of children. And also in the way that we as a community serve those children and our economy. We all need to remember that the research is very clear on this. Early education is pretty much the biggest bang for your taxpayer buck if you want to break the cycle of poverty and if you really want to help kids be successful. This is important. These are families that want to work. These are families that want their children to also go to high quality early education because they want those children to be successful, to be contributing members of our economy. We all want success for our children. We all want a strong economy. Arguably, the best way to get there, certainly one of the best ways, is through quality early education and supporting these programs here in Houston, in the greater Houston area. The very programs that we're talking about cutting. Texas is growing, Houston is growing, but our childcare infrastructure is not keeping up. So today, we know that in our state, because of children at risk work, we have only 21 subsidized, let me repeat that for the press. We only have 21 subsidized childcare seats for every 100 low-income kids who really need those seats. And now we're talking about cutting that number. So come on, we really can do better than this because we need high quality childcare, but we need those subsidized seats so that all of our workers can do what they most want to do. And so let me just do this in Spanish para la prensa latino, algunas palabras en español. También más tarde Doris va a hablar en español también. Hoy estamos hablando de la educación temprana aquí en el condado de Harris. Sabemos que nuestra comunidad necesita centros de educación temprana sólidos y exitosos. Sabemos que las familias los necesitan hoy y que nuestros niños necesitan una educación temprana de calidad alta para poder tener éxito académico. Pero también estamos viviendo en un momento en el que el gobierno federal está recortando fondos y el Estado también está haciendo recortes. Y entre los más afectados están precisamente estos centros de educación temprana que nuestra comunidad lo necesita. Tenemos que hacerlo mejor. Todos nosotros, trabajando juntos aquí en el condado de Harris, podemos hacer mucho, pero solo podemos llegar hasta cierto punto. Lo que realmente necesitamos es una mayor inversión del estado de Texas y de Washington, D.C. Todo para la educación temprana de nuestros niños. Um, y gracias por eso. Let's go to Amy Corron. Amy, you don't need to speak Spanish. It's okay. But let's go to Amy.
Gotcha.
She is the president and CEO of Wesley House Houston. Amy, give us your take on what we're hitting here with this funding cliff for childcare.
Yes, the funding cliff, I agree with you, Bob, is hitting just at the wrong time when folks are struggling with increased costs right now. So increased costs for everything from gas to groceries to rent, utilities, and not having access to subsidies for childcare, which is one of the biggest expenses a family has, is just going to really hurt hard. So at Wesley, about 98% of our families are eligible for the subsidy, and 8 of our 100 kids are on the subsidy because the wait list is so long. And so making the wait list longer is really going to hurt folks. And we're worried that the cut might not only impact the people who are still waiting for subsidized childcare, but we're worried about the 8 kids, the 5 families who are currently on the list. What if the process changes and they don't get renewed? That would be devastating. Our parents are working parents. They're hardworking parents. They contribute to the economy. They come to Wesley because it's a quality center. We're NACCC accredited. And it's just nearly impossible to find childcare in general and high quality in particular. So this is going to hurt right when we need it the most.
Thank you, Amy, very, very much. Amy, can I just ask you a quick question?
Mhm.
I know that families will struggle, even if they don't get the subsidy, they're still going to struggle to try to find high quality childcare and they're going to do their darndest. But the economic impact on those families, especially as, yesterday Rice came out with 50% of our families are food insecure. They're having trouble paying utility bills. I mean, this sort of just exasperates the whole thing, doesn't it?
It sure does. Yeah, our families are struggling more and more. Just over the summer, we've received an increased number of calls from people, from families asking for our help for them to get their basic needs met: food, rent, utilities, etc. And so this is just exactly the wrong time for anybody to be cutting back support for childcare and quality childcare that helps people stay at their jobs, get better jobs, get training, so they can get higher paid jobs. It's exactly the wrong time. In addition, we know many centers rely on this revenue to help keep them afloat. So it's not only painful for the families, it's painful for the centers as well.
Amy Corrin, thank you very much. Amy is the president and CEO of the Wesley House here in Houston. Thank you, Amy, very much. Let's go to Doris Menchaca. Doris is the director of the Houston Kids Academy, a great place. I've visited there. They do wonderful stuff. Doris, give us your take as a provider of early education to kids, high quality early education. Give us your take on all of this.
I mean, this is devastating, right? 90% of my kids here at my center are on subsidy, and it's three, four kids per family. And I think about how this is going to impact them when they renew or if they get waitlisted again. One of our families, through the ELQN program, applied for the grant that was allotted for them because they were on the wait list. And she called again because that grant was over, and she's like, I'm still not there. They're 3 months behind me, but they stopped letting out funding. And she's like, I can only keep one of my kids here. I can't keep both. And for them to make those kinds of decisions, I'm like, wow, this is like basically what's going to happen. Are parents going to have to choose what child stays, which is not what anybody wants. This shouldn't be even a question or a decision they would have to make. But because of everything that's going on, this is what our parents are facing.
It's very tough.
It is.
Uh, for Latino families, there's been additional pressure, all sorts of pressure. Are you seeing this sort of being reflected in terms of not only are we cutting, but now there's the extra trauma that might happen with Latino families?
Yes. I mean, right now with what's going on with the ICE situation, we've had a couple of families been impacted. Our kids are obviously facing that, and we see the distress in them. So it's like they're facing different problems from all sides. From that perspective of ICE, the perspective of losing funding. What kid do I keep here? Funding, they don't have any money. They don't have any money for food. I mean, I've received calls from parents asking me the same thing. Ms. Doris, I don't have money for groceries. And I'm like, I'm on my way. Say less. I'm not going to keep my kids hungry. Like that's something I'm not going to do. I will do whatever it takes for the children I provide care for. This is a village, and that's why I believe, you know what I mean, in my community. This is a village. We start change here. This is the foundation we lay that goes on to school readiness. So if we are able to create a safe space, a good quality care for them, we make change. But we really desperately need for people to think of early childhood as an importance because it truly is.
Doris, sé que hablas español. ¿Nos puede hablar un poco sobre qué están pensando los padres y qué es la cosa más importante para que saben los padres en este momento?
Ahorita nuestros papás quieren trabajar y para trabajar necesitan un lugar en donde dejar a sus niños. No nada más un lugar que los cuide, pero que también les dé las herramientas para seguir yendo a la escuela, para aprender bien. Un lugar seguro, un lugar donde van a aprender con maestras, con todo, con comida, con todo lo que ellos necesitan para que se sientan bien, que se sientan a gusto. Pero esta parte es fundamental para que ellos vayan a trabajar y puedan ejercer en su trabajo.
Sí, y éxito para esos mismos niños, es la cosa más
Sí.
importante. Sí, sí,
Eso es para nosotros, ¿verdad? Como comunidad, es lo que queremos. Ver a nuestros niños felices, contentos, que ellos se vean y digan, yo quiero soñar, yo puedo hacer todo. Y para eso se necesitan tus papás para que vayan a trabajar. Entonces, sí, sí, nuestros niños es lo más importante.
right. Very good. Doris, muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much. Mieko Carter is the Texas State Representative for NAFCC, and she's the founder of Divine Footprints Family Childcare here in Houston. Mieko, give us your take on everything that's happening with the cut in funding and its potential impact on our families.
Oh my goodness. So much like what Doris said, I come from a family child care, family child care perspective I'm speaking from. So of course we're small business and the small child care business that help keep those families working, like we're going to be impacted by it. We have about, like Doris also said, I have about 50% of my children that receive uh, funding, and it's just like a matter of just taking that funding away. I could face the possibility of closure. And there's a lot of family child care businesses out there that can actually face closure due to the cuts. So we know our children, we are close knit families. So family child care is very close knitted to families. So we just the impact of this is going to affect a million people. Like, it's just crazy. It's going to affect us in so many ways. And I'm afraid of it because I'm already facing a lot of difficulties right now. And with the cuts, that means families right now that's struggling to pay. Right now, for example, I have a parent that is struggling already, and I have to literally keep her child and absolutely at no cost, right? And I mean, there's nothing I can really do. I don't want her to lose her job. So it's like we're forced to do things, and I'm already struggling as a provider. So as a provider that's already struggling, and I have to take on kids or families that's struggling as well, it's just like a bad infrastructure of, it's just like a domino effect of trouble.
Yeah, very good. Santrice, it's amazing. People like Mieko and Doris, we have so many people like this in our community that are working so hard on behalf of kids. And we talk to each one of them, and their stories are so compelling in terms of what's going on. Santrice Jones-Hare joins us. She's the Chief Impact Officer, Director of the Greater Houston Strong Start Alliance. Santrice, what's your take on all of this?
Yes, Dr. Bob. So today we've heard from several different vantage points and perspectives. We heard from a nonprofit that is providing services to the community. We've heard from a childcare facility that is providing services to the community. And we've also heard from a small business in terms of a family provider, a home-based provider that's helping to support our community. And then with each of them, something that I so passionately heard was the story of our families, the stories of those who live day to day within our Houston community who are trying to provide for their families and very often are limited because of the opportunities that are presented, the cost of care, and the limited availability that we currently have. So now I really want us to think about this from a global perspective when we're talking about Greater Houston at large, where we know that Harris County is already home to over 191,000 kids that are under the age of 6. And of those 191,000 kids, there are over 101,000 that come from low socioeconomic families. So, what does that mean in terms of these things that are happening? That means that those children are not going to be able to access early quality care and education because of these limited resources that are becoming even more stretched and even more limited at this point in time. On top of that, we already have a wait list of over 20,000 children that are waiting for services across the Gulf Coast area. So, with all the things that are happening related to Head Start, when we're looking at early care and education, from the notice of proposed rulemaking, where we could see administrative costs that are cut from 15% down to 5%, affecting our businesses and the economic growth of those entities, and then the 9.5% state cut that we're seeing, which supports our childcare subsidy and scholarships, that will decrease access once again to seats for our children and families across the area. And then, even closer to home locally, we know that we're coming upon the culmination of the American Rescue Plan Act dollars that the county has been able to leverage to help support in this time of need across our area. That's also helped us to see a 57% increase in transition of employment for those families that are participating. So not only are our children getting high quality education, those families are joining the workforce and they're able to help their families have upward economic mobility, which therefore helps our entire economy when we're looking at it locally because they're able to pay back their tax dollars and then support the local economy in various capacities by going to the store and purchasing things. All of those things are happening when we have these resources that are in place for families. Something else that we need to make sure that we remember is access to quality now does not just impact the now, it also impacts the future of our area. When families have opportunities and access to quality early childhood education, they are definitely helping us for the long run. And so, something that I want families to know in this space, if you already have access to these quality seats that we're talking about, please continue to utilize them. Do not let these seats go. Do not give them up because when you all are staying enrolled, it demonstrates that there is a high demand, a high need for the access to these things and the resources when they are available to the communities. When it comes to our early care educators and providers, I want them to make sure they remember to continue honing their skills, not just as a small business, but also as instructional leaders and educators within our communities. This helps to increase stability. So, when we're talking about high quality care, high quality education, as long as they remain engaged, then they can continue to grow and develop as well, serving those families within the community and ideally creating the learning spaces and environments that children can thrive in from home to school and school to community. And then finally, from a federal and state perspective, and also local, support for our children and families that has to continue. We cannot stop supporting at any of these levels. Although the ARPA dollars are coming to a close, we've seen where Harris County continues to prioritize early childhood, even if it might not be through the use of a significant amount of funding that we got from the federal level. They have continued to prioritize it by bringing communities together, bringing partners together through coalition work and also work group work. And we need those things to also continue happening. Because at the end of the day, when our children are able to thrive, our families are able to thrive, the workforce is able to thrive, and our entire community then sees the forward progression economically, like I was saying earlier, both now and in the future. So this is not just a now issue. This is something that we are setting a strong foundation for the success of Greater Houston.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Santrice, for those words. I'll finish by saying something. I said this recently, a lot of times everything we do these days is framed as a Republican or Democratic or partisan issue. But we have to remember when we're talking about children, they're not Democrats, they're not Republicans, they're children. They're not conservative, they're not liberal, they're just children. And we want to make sure that our children do really well here in Texas. And I think that's the important thing that we want everyone to understand. This is a key way that those children do very well. And we know that both sides have it in them to say, let's do better for children. We've seen during the first Trump administration more money come to early education. We've seen the governor of Texas campaign on the idea that early education is a good thing. We've seen the TEA commissioner talk about the value of early education. So we know that people get this. And we just need people to understand that right now is this dire time. All these cuts are happening. We need to make sure that we pay now on this because all of us know we're going to have to pay a lot more down the road if these kids don't turn out the way that we all want them to turn out. And so this is an important issue for us here in the state of Texas. It's a really important issue for us here in Houston. We need to make sure we do the right thing by our children. Thank you all very much, Mieko, Doris, Santrice. Thank you guys so much for the work that all of you are doing. And thanks for being here. And anytime you guys have other questions, by the way, media, give us a call. Take care. Thank you, guys.